Welcome to Court TV. Great to have you aboard tonight. Let me start right off the top by showing you our lineup tonight. Joining me on the program this hour, Ashley Banfield, who today became a special Court TV contributor. Ashley, great to have you aboard. Welcome to Court TV.
Thank you, Vinny. So great to be with you.
And I've got to introduce the rest of the gang. Ted Rowland's with us, folks, and Julie Grant. Everyone sit tight because we've got our first story of the night, and this is one we've been following almost from the beginning. We're talking about Lori Vallow Daybell, the so-called Doomsday Cult Mom. Well, she's got a hearing scheduled this week trying to get out on bond. Well, that bond was reduced once from $3 million to $1 million, and now a new judge will be hearing it. So the big question everyone's wondering, will they lower it again? And then will she get out as she waits for her trial? First, let me give you a little bit of background on how we got to where we are tonight.
Just let us know where the kids are.
Please, for God's sake, please.
Where are your children?
Please.
I still think everybody needs to be on the lookout. I still want to know where JJ is, and I still want to know where Tylee is.
17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old JJ Vallow were last seen in September of 2019. When calls and FaceTimes with JJ abruptly stopped, his grandparents knew something was wrong.
All I want before I go is just to see those children.
Searchers have looked in Arizona, Idaho, and Hawaii. Still, no sign of JJ or Tylee. At the center of this story, their mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, and her new husband, Chad Daybell, both connected to the children's disappearances, a string of mysterious deaths, and a doomsday cult. What do we know so far about this case? Let's start from the beginning. Chad Daybell marries his wife Tammy in the Manti Temple of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints on March 9, 1990. The two moved to Springville, Utah, where they have 5 children. In 1992, Lori Daybell marries her first husband, but the marriage doesn't last long, and by 1995, Lori is married to her second husband, William, and the couple has a son named Colby. But that marriage doesn't last long either, and they divorce in 1996. According to Chad Daybell's personal bio, in 1997, while working as a grave digger in Springville, Utah, he experiences a divine inspiration, prompting him to begin writing his religious novels. In 2001, Lori marries husband number 3, Joseph Ryan. In 2002, the couple has a daughter. They name her Tylee. But just 2 years later, Joseph and Lori split. Then Lori meets a new man, Charles Vallow, and in 2006, they get married. Within a few years, the couple adopts a little boy named Joshua. They call him JJ. In 2015, Tammy and Chad Daybell moved from Springville, Utah to Salem, Idaho. On April 3, 2018, Lori Vallow's third ex-husband, Joseph Ryan, the father of Tylee, passes away. His cause of death? Heart attack. Later that year, on December 5th, Lori Vallow appears with religious author Chad Daybell on a podcast focused on preparing for the second coming of Jesus Christ.
If you did something bad yesterday, the Lord wants you to say you're sorry today and just do better tomorrow.
In February, Lori Vallow leaves her children and husband Charles in Arizona for 58 days. Her whereabouts during this time are still unknown. On February 8th, while Lori is away, her husband Charles files for divorce. In court documents, Charles claims Lori has recently become infatuated and at times obsessive over near-death experiences and spiritual visions. She has told Charles that she is sealed, eternally married to the ancient Book of Mormon's prophet Moroni, and that she has lived numerous lives on numerous planets. Lori also told Charles that she is a translated being that will never taste death, as she was sent by God to carry out the work of 144,000 at Christ's second coming in July of 2020. Despite the allegations, the couple ultimately decided to make the marriage work, and divorce proceedings were dropped. In June, Lori's niece Melanie Boudreau tells her husband Brandon she wants a divorce. Brandon claims Melanie had formed similar religious beliefs to her Aunt Lori and had joined a cult.
What do you mean by that?
You can't be a member of the church and believe those things. Their focus is just so much on the end of the world and, this idea that it's coming.
On July 11th, police respond to Lori and Charles Vallow's Arizona home. Charles has been shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox.
Turned around and he hit me in the back of the head with a bat. So I went to my room and got my gun.
Hey, team, we got one subject down, apparent gunshot wounds to the chest.
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Investigators determined the shooting was in self-defense.
When he died, JJ was in danger.
At the end of August, Lori, Tylee, JJ, Alex Cox, and Melanie Boudreau all moved to Rexburg, Idaho, a town located just 3 miles south of Salem, where Chad and Tammy Daybell live. In September, Lori enrolls JJ at Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg. His sister, Tylee, is last seen in public September 8th at the entrance of Yellowstone National Park. 9 days later, a neighbor's security camera records JJ outside the family's Rexburg townhome. On September 23rd, JJ attends his last day at Kennedy Elementary School. The next day, Lori unenrolls her son, telling the school she would be homeschooling JJ. On October 1st, Lori rents a 10-by-10 storage unit at Storage Plus in Rexburg, just 1.5 miles from her townhome. Security camera footage shows Lori visiting the storage unit 10 times in the following weeks. She and a male companion can be seen moving items, including large containers, in and out of the unit. October 2nd, Brandon Boudreau claims there was an attempt on his life by someone driving a Jeep. Arizona police report that Jeep was registered to the now deceased Charles Vallow. October 9th, Tammy Daybell calls 911 to report a masked man shot her with a paintball gun in her driveway. She posts about the incident on Facebook. Only 10 days later, the Daybell family changed forever.
And there's still more of this story to tell. Unbelievable. Let's bring everyone back in. Ashley Banfield, Ted Rollins, Julie Grant. We've got a bail hearing scheduled for this week. We've got a new judge hearing it. Ted, I'll start with you. Do you think anything different here? Is the word that, hey, maybe there's a chance she could actually get out?
Well, I have talked to bail bondsmen in Rexburg. They are preparing for that possibility. Because remember, originally, they were not working with her. There's a $1 million bail standing now, and nobody in that town will work with her for that $1 million. If it goes down, they do say, at least the one I talked to said, yeah, we may work with her, but at this point, she's too big of a risk. I can't imagine a judge is going to lower the bail significantly just because of the potential that is out there. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the case in which she's charged with, but the judge gets it, and it would be a huge risk, I think.
Julie Grant, what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I agree with Ted, Vinny, absolutely. Have a couple of notes I wanted to make. First, I certainly want to extend a very warm welcome to Ashley Banfield. We are just so happy to have you with us and really honored. I've been a big admirer of your journalism for years. So glad to have you back with the Court TV family. Wanted to say that first, Julie, if I may. And then with respect to this bail hearing, if I am on the side of the prosecution, I'm going to argue for a bail increase for Lori Vallow. And this is why she still has yet to comply with that court order from January with her children to produce them. That order still outstanding. And so I would try to make that argument, although it's one that I don't think will be successful. I would still make it if I'm on the side of the prosecution. If I'm on the side of the defense, I think I would make the argument that if she is allowed to make a reasonable bail, then she could be out and helping in the search for the children. Now, that argument, I think they should have made a long time ago when she was extradited from Hawaii. My position on this has been clear from the beginning. I think she is a real safety risk to the community should she be let out, especially because her children might still be alive. And if I were the judge, I would be concerned that if they are alive, and God willing they are, she may go and potentially harm them if she is out. I think that is a concern. She's also a big flight risk, too, as evidenced by her trip with Mr. Doomsday to Hawaii, Vinny. So I don't think the bail is going to be touched. And if anything, if I was on the side of the prosecution, I'd want it increased.
All right, Ashley, I've never had the opportunity to ask you about Lori Vallow Daybell. What are your impressions of this woman, and where does she stack up in the world of criminal defendants that you've covered through the years?
So my first answer to that is that the scene setter that you just played off the top of your show, Vinny, that's something we call in the business as a primer. Normally they're about a minute and a half. And that one was about 7. So that should tell you the extent of everything that's going on with Ms. Vallow, right? And in that respect, I think that there's a lot more to consider than just the abandonment charge that she's dealing with, right? She's already shown that she's not really willing to show up for an appearance, and that's in her past. So that doesn't bode well when a judge is looking to reduce bail to something she might be able to afford. But there are just too many unanswered questions right now. And until there's more investigative information that's released from the search for the children, until there's more investigative information that comes from whatever autopsy might be done from exhumations, I can't believe I'm even saying that in plural. There's too much of a cocktail at stake when it comes to Lori Vallow to just make a simple decision on bail reduction. And then there's the layperson. That's me, sitting many states away from her, and I fear her. So people out there need to be protected from someone who could be dangerous. And there's a lot of could be dangerous that comes in the cocktail with Lori Vallow.
Yeah, and you say a lot of unanswered questions, but there's one big one. Where are your kids? That's the only question that she'd have to answer, and she could probably get out at this point where we are. Now, the question, if they reduce bail, does she have money? Where is this money going to come from? Ted, I know you spoke with Kay Woodcock, who is JJ's grandma, and asked her about life insurance involving Charles. Let's take a listen.
The only thing I know that happened is that I got the insurance money and she did not. And so she is angry about that. But it's my brother did it. I didn't do it. I didn't ask to be made the beneficiary. I didn't ask for that. He did it because he knew we were going to end up with JJ.
Yeah.
Or so he thought.
He thought.
Did she text you about that? The insurance money?
Yes, she did.
Yes.
She sent a picture of she ran across, I imagine she was searching for the change of beneficiary form in Charles's file she had in Arizona. And she took a picture of it and she said something to the effect, it's not verbatim, but something to the effect, 5 kids and no money and his sister gets everything. That was the last time I spoke. Well, that was the last interaction with Lori.
Yeah,
ever.
Last communication ever.
So there was the insurance money when Charles was shot and killed didn't go to Lori Vallow, Ted, right? She didn't get any of that.
No, went to the Woodcocks because Charles wanted to make sure of that. He was very afraid that Lori was going to try to get it. In fact, she apparently tried to change his password on the insurance policy. He got one of those, notifications. Did you actually try to change your password? And he said no. And they did an investigation into it. He cleared it up with the insurance company. She didn't get a dime. But keep in mind, they do have money because Tammy Daybell's insurance went to Chad. Now, I don't think they blew all of it when they went to Hawaii. So they do have money between the two of them to get Lori out, potentially.
And we know they didn't spend it on the wedding ring, Julie, right? that wedding ring was a lot cheaper.
I think that was $35 on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, right? Purchased before Tammy Daybell was dead, which is all, part of this plot that is perhaps even more sinister than we may think it is. And that email to ban our life insurance that Charles Vallow sent, that was in February of 2019, where he's saying my account was hacked. He believed that Lori Vallow was responsible. And the thing that really shook me to my core was he said that she had threatened his life. And so all of this, we've talked before on your show, Vinny, about the digital footprint that Charles Vallow has and that Lori Daybell has, and how this is going to enter in. And should they find she had some criminal responsibility in Charles Vallow's death, I think they're going to go back to some intent or premeditation, perhaps, that could have been established as far back as February.
Absolutely. Ashley, anytime you hear words from the victim himself, where the victim is scared of someone and ends up dying and is concerned about the money, writes her out of the will, wants to get away from her, I mean, it all kind of makes sense here.
I remember so many of the cases we covered together at Court TV, Vinny, where a victim's words were very interesting for conversation on television, but oftentimes not included in trials, because it's the excited utterance that you're allowed to include in the trial, not necessarily what somebody says, especially if someone says, gosh, I'm really worried someone's going to kill me. You can't necessarily just bring that up in court, but you sure as heck can talk about it on TV. And potential jurors watch a lot of TV, especially when it involves someone in their community. So in some respects, that's interesting. But, I'm just more fascinated in what is in that trunk at the cop shop, because I think that's where you start to learn things, is in bail hearings. And you start to hear other concerns that prosecutors have. A lot of those revelations come at these hearings, right? Because the prosecutors are going to have to cough up something to the judge to suggest it's not quite as simple as the defense attorneys are making it out to be. We have this little nugget of information as well. So I'm sort of, popping the popcorn for that bail hearing.